So most kids in the United States, hell, most kids in the world, they've gotten good news. Spring is here, summer's coming, weather's nice, and they were told by their government, by their benevolent dictators, that they don't have to wear masks anymore. So the adults in the room, the coaches, the teachers, the parents at the playground no longer have to abuse the children, obstruct their breathing canals, and let them breathe air. So that was good news. I felt like something that should have happened a year ago, but finally, people decided to follow the science and let these poor children breathe. Well, that's most children, not all children. Some children, as you will see, some parents who are science deniers, some political leaders, like AOC, Lori Lightfoot have already declared they're not going to stop masking up because they don't believe in science. They don't believe in the vaccination. There's some anti-vaxxers out there like Tony Fauci who continue to mask up, just show everyone that the vaccines don't really work. But then there's these poor children that play softball, these poor girls. How old, Chaddock? How old?
10 years old.
10-year-old kids who thought they were free because, the CDC, the political hacks of the CDC said children don't have to wear masks anymore outdoors. So they thought they were free. It's like, getting paroled and then find out, oh no, there was a glitch here. You got to stay in your cell for another 6 months. These poor children who play softball for Tom Shattuck's team. What's the team called again, Shattuck?
The Falcons, we'll say. I don't want to identify them too quickly.
The Falcons, good name. The Falcons. The Falcons thought they could breathe air. They thought they could see each other smile, but no. These tyrants who coach this team, including one Tom Shattuck, said, "No, girls, sorry, it can't happen. You got to continue to block for no reason. We already know, no reason at all. This could be the most maddening." Subject I think I've had to deal with in years. The idea that you're going to take 10-year-old children out on a warm spring day evening, running, playing, throwing, catching with their friends, and you're going to say, I'm going to force you to block your nose and mouth and gasp for air. And the reason is completely unscientific, completely illogical. It's because I want to be like, AOC or Pelosi or Mika Brzezinski, who announced she's fully vaccinated but still going to Joy Reid. These people who don't believe in science, who don't believe in common sense, say, no, we're going to continue to block the breathing passages of our children. These are child abusers. These are sadists. And I hate to do this today, but I feel like I have to include my friend Tom Shattuck in this. Why can't your daughter breathe freely, Shattuck? Tell me.
So one thing I want to say first is when you talk about blocking breathing passages, that's absolutely true. They gasp and they come down first base. I coach first base. When they come down first base, they are sucking wind, and that mask usually has to be adjusted once they get to first base. They're sprinting from a stationary position. So that always happens. Sometimes you have to call time so that they can take their helmet off and then readjust their mask and then throw it back on. They always complain.
What do you do to these girls when their mask slips below their nose? Do you yell at them? Do you make them run?
You berate push-ups?
Do you kick them off the field, off the team? You say no. You're putting us all in danger. See, I think there's nothing more contemptible right now than adults who do that for two reasons. Obviously, it's tough for the kid to breathe, but it doesn't really do anything except make the adult feel virtuous. It doesn't protect anyone from anything. So you got to really consider the deep-seated psychological issues with grown-ups, coaches who make children do this. I mean, it is a form of child abuse. There's no other reason. There's no other explanation for it other than the parent, the adult, somehow gets something from it, gets some satisfaction, gets some arousal for forcing pain onto children. These are sick. These are sick people. Adults who make children put masks, block their breathing on the playground, on the softball field, are sick. Those are the people. And I said this yesterday. Those are the people we should be shaming. I know we went through the last year of shaming the non-masked people, the turtle boys out there saying, you're putting us all in danger. Like Rachel Maddow said, She has to adjust to her way of thinking. She has to rewire herself because she's so used to looking at people without masks and saying, you're a bad person. You're putting us all in danger. Well, we're beyond that. We're beyond that. You know, if you believe in the science, we need to move to a different form of shaming. We need to shame adults. And I see them, got a big playground right near me. I see a whole bunch of adults strapping these devices over their kids' noses and mouth, causing their own children pain. Those are bad parents. Those are bad people. We need, as a society, Shattuck, to point to these people and say, you're a terrible person. You're the worst kind of person. You're inflicting pain. You're inflicting pain on a child for your own selfish purposes. All right, I have to shut up now and give you a chance to explain.
Good.
Explain. I feel like you're on the witness stand. I feel like Law and Order. Say, why do you, Tom Shattuck, Coach Shattuck, why do you insist on inflicting pain on children, including your own?
Right. It's especially somebody like me who's against the whole thing. And there's a group of us who are either coach or are parents of girls, about 4 of us who talk about it constantly, talk about the idea that this is not necessary, etc. So a couple days ago, Gerry, the guidelines from the softball league was that you only had to wear the mask when you were fielding. I mean, you didn't have to wear a mask when you were fielding or hitting, which that doesn't leave too much left, right? Sitting on the bench is when you would have to wear the mask.
What about base running?
That's hitting, so you don't have to. You wouldn't have to wear.
Yep.
So you would make them put the mask on as soon as they got off the field. You know, like
so that was like the remaining guidance while we waited on Massachusetts to do something. So a couple days ago, Gerry, during that guidance, the girls said, "Well, we can take it off, whatever," and it all fell apart. The girls just took their masks off. The coaches said, "Oh, fuck it, whatever," and everybody took their masks off, and it was over. And I just sent you a picture saying, "Look at the thing fell like the freaking Berlin Wall, like the Iron Curtain. It fell. You know, first gradually, then suddenly it was gone." And that was fantastic. So then yesterday comes a game and we're all practicing. My daughter has a mask in her pocket in case she has to wear one on the bench. I didn't even have one with me. We're practicing before the game, whatever. But our coach speaks to the other coach, nothing eventful happening. And suddenly we're starting the game. We're going up to hit. The other team is taking the field. Right then, our coach says, "Hey, everybody! By the way, the other team has made it clear because of a couple of players that they would feel much more comfortable if we all wore masks. So we're going to wear masks for the entire game." So, and all the girls immediately said, "Oh," inside, and were upset because it sucks, especially now since it was their first day being free, totally free.
Quick question,
right?
You said they would feel better or feel more comfortable if
somebody on the other team would feel more comfortable.
Now, this is a child or an adult?
I think it was a child.
So clearly the child. I mean, I don't want to blame a 10-year-old for calling her stupid, but clearly the 10-year-old is ignorant. The 10-year-old doesn't understand the issue, doesn't understand, that she doesn't need a mask.
The 10-year-old parent is not comfortable. Yeah.
Right, the parent.
I blame that parent.
Told
the parent of that 10-year-old on the other team. That is a terrible parent. Hold on, parent. Someone needs to point that out and say, you are abusing your children, forcing other children to deal with this pain as well. That person needs to be called out, Shattuck. You guys need, as coaches, as parents, to say, okay, you're the one, just so everyone knows, this is the one who wants your child to suffer. This is the one that doesn't care about science, doesn't care about what the CDC says, and certainly doesn't care about the children's happiness.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
That's a terrible person. Point her out, him out. Make sure everybody knows who's responsible for this.
It is the coach who went up to the other coach. He should have said, "We are abiding by the rules that the softball league has set. I understand that makes your player feel uncomfortable. Right. If that is the case, your player should not be here right now."
I will say yes. I'll say you're right. He shares the blame because he's deferring to the bad parent. You have a bad parent, a bad person who wants all these children to ruin their experience, essentially.
Right.
And he is accommodating that one bad parent and making all the good parents have to deal with it. It's just wrong, and it's done. These people should not be anonymous. If you're doing this to children, I mean, it's like saying, "Yeah, my neighbor, he whips his kid, or he makes his kids sleep in the garage, when he's bad and wets his bed in the dead of winter. Oh, but he's the parent. No, that's a bad parent. That's a child abuser. If you're doing this to children, you are a child abuser. You are a child abuser, and you shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. You shouldn't be
Right.
anonymous.
And this is how it's so sinister, Jerry. This is why I texted you yesterday. I was apoplectic because it was as the game started. This was never presented to us, assistant coaches. Hey guys, the other team would like to this. This was okay, guys. The game's starting right now. Get your helmets on, put your mask on. There was no debate at all. I'm heading to first base to be the first base coach, and it had already been decided. None of us were involved. At this point, I'm thinking, I went to my car and I'm thinking, should I get it? No, I'm not going to get a mask. I went to my daughter and said, do you want to leave? We can just leave. I'm texting my wife saying, should we just quit this thing and to get her out of here? I mean, so I didn't know what to do. I'm like, God damn it. So I personally didn't wear a mask. That was my only little stand. I didn't wear a mask. I was the only person involved in the team that didn't wear a mask at the third base. But I'm like, and you're right, Jerry. It occurred to me today, which is why I'm freaking kicking myself more and more, it occurred to me today that not only did they make the demand and my coach agree to the demand that masks would be back, but they went above and beyond the requirements of only hitting and fielding. It was every second of the game you have to have your mask on.
I mean, now you have to do this. Just it'll make for a good a podcast or a good Substack. You have to find that parent and say, do you mind? Can I just talk to you for 1 minute? Can you explain to me why you want to do this to children? I need to know. I'm okay with it, but I just need to understand why. And because it's one of two things. Like AOC says she's 31 and thin, but she's going to wear a mask even though she's been vaccinated. But she has an excuse, so she has a good reason. She's stupid. She's really, really stupid. You have other people, like I said, Mika Brzezinski or Lori Lightfoot or these other medium people, Joy Reid. They're strictly doing it because they want to virtue signal and still show that they, they believe in masks. And if you don't wear a mask, they can't let go of the narrative. They can't let go, but just say, okay, we're done here. Because as Rachel Maddow pointed out, then you don't know who the good guys are from the bad guys. And if you drop the mask, then we're all Turtle Boy, then we're all, Aubrey Huff. We're all, Neanderthals. So you can't have that. I need you to find that parent. You're a pretty big, strong,
such a lightweight
guy. I need you to confront that parent and say, just help me out. Me, my daughter and I, we need to understand what your thinking is here, because that person is either really ill-informed and really stupid, or is doing it just so they can continue to say, we're the good guys. We have masks. Right. You take them off, you're the bad guys. The idea that you're putting anyone, adult, grown up, in danger is so laughable at this point. It's honest to God, like putting leeches on someone for, you got a headache. We're going to put leeches on, suck the bad blood out of you. That's truly, to quote, Joe Biden, Neanderthal thinking. That children have to wear masks outside.
You guys know nothing about conflict.
And so while I was on coaching first base, I looked over there. At one point, I'm looking over there, and nobody had a mask on in the parents, except for one guy who was actually a big fat and with the crazy hair. And I thought maybe this guy is the eccentric a-hole. Right, that's the one who did it. But you're right. So because you've scared the shit out of your daughter so that she has to wear a mask. Because one girl feels uncomfortable, you have to make 24 others feel uncomfortable.
Hold on,
you said
10 years old, right? 10-year-old?
Yes.
Okay, is there an ump hired by the league? Okay, that coach goes to the ump. You're hired by the league to get everybody to play by the right rules, right? The ump makes the decision. That's it. Done deal. Goodbye. That ump should have kicked that player off the field unless you came together and said, okay, for one night only, we're going to do this or whatever bullshit. But it was that ump's responsibility. It wasn't anybody else's. That's it.
Yeah, but they wisely circumvented the ump and went right to our coach.
Where were you, Shaq? You're supposed to be a leader.
I wasn't. I was there, working with the pitchers, trying to make sure we can throw the goddamn ball that can reach the catcher. And so that's how it's like done in these underhanded ways. And then suddenly, so I'm at first base, and the parents the pair of parents who usually are with me mask wise, wherever at the playground, they arrive. Now I can't communicate with them. It's like brilliantly done in an Iron Curtain kind of way. the way the Russians would
Well,
separate.
you also don't
me.
want to embarrass the kid. We all know it's not the kid, so you don't want to like point that out. So you kind of
Well, yeah,
do.
right. I mean,
So now I'm deciding what to do today. And like, I mean, obviously, this is my theory: is that the person knew that Baker made the dictate yesterday, saying that you don't have to wear masks outside anymore, and that technically started this morning. Is that person probably was almost trolling, saying, I'm going to take our last bit of mask time using Baker's dictates and start a problem here.
And right, which I think you're right. And that means that like, exactly what I said. That's a really bad person. That's a bad parent, a bad person. And you're allowing that person, the fat guy with the hair, you're allowing that guy to foist his twisted ways onto children. I mean, that you should be calling the cops and saying this guy is inflicting pain on children. This should be a crime. Now I want to make it a crime to force a child. And did you see the picture from the I don't know if you could find it, Dave, leaving the White House? Joe Biden walking out of the White House with a bunch of people. I think it was like family members, all adults unmasked, and there's one child, like a 5-year-old, with a mask. The president, and again, some people, they're just dumb. They don't understand the science. They don't care. They just want to prove to everyone that they care about public safety. That would define our commander in chief. He doesn't understand. When he did the mask, the scolding, holding the mask up, like he did a bunch of times, saying, this is, I got my mask here, holding it up, feebly, going, this is so important. It's a small thing. It's a profound difference. It's asking a lot. Just keep with. And you're saying, if anyone ever asked him, can you explain what a mask does with an airborne virus, what it does to slow this, the spread? He wouldn't have a clue. He has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand when he called, Texas Neanderthal for dropping the mask mandate. Neanderthal. This is how clueless the president is. He berated Florida and Texas for doing, for keeping their economies open, saving thousands of small businesses, millions of jobs, and kids back in school, just getting everyone back to normal. And obviously the infection rate, the death rate dropped. They were examples for other states. I think the problem you have, it's not just this crazy, fascist thinking like we have to mandate things and we can't allow people to think for themselves. We have a perfect example after 14 months of how to do it and how not to do it. We obviously know Florida did it right. Texas did it right. New York, Massachusetts did it wrong. Our governors were negligent. Our governors were wrong. There's no debate about it anymore. That should be over with. We know, Cuomo and Whitmer and Baker were wrong. We know why, too, because they have this instinct to do these tyrannical things, this instinct to control us. The idea that we should open things up and free people and all, is just antithetical to everything they believe in. If you're Baker today, there's an editorial in the Boston Herald talking about how devastated the restaurant industry is. They estimated 3,400. The Baker put 3,400 restaurants out of business. It's twice that. It is twice that. It was 4,000 after 6 months. I believe it's got to be close to 10,000 from, the whole state. He put, I'm going to guess, again, 10,000 restaurants out of business. He didn't lose a minute's sleep. He didn't care for 1 second about the owners of those restaurants, the managers, the waitresses, the people. Did not care because his instinct, his first thought is, I must control. The man here, the boss, must stop this virus. It's a ludicrous way of thinking. And it was proven wrong by, again, DeSantis and Abbott and Nome and all the other governors that believe in business, that believe in small business and saving jobs and keeping people employed. That the people we live under don't care about that at all. At all. I mean, we know that by now. At what point did we say these people were wrong? And they were just dead wrong. And the people down south were right. I mean, how hard is that to do?
The problem
is evidence is overwhelming.
The problem is that people need this freaking validation. It's a mental health issue on the part of parents. Like I told you, it's like you and I are talking right now, and Dave, and I was talking about about masks last night at the softball field, without ever getting to the smack in the face reality. that you can't get fucking COVID outside. It's like so why don't we just debate life vests outside? But I talked to one of the parents about one of the coaches about this, our coach last week, and said, "Hey, by the way, why are you and I wearing masks? We've been vaccinated, right?" And he said, "Yes, but my feeling is that if we make them wear them, then at least we should." Well, why are we making them wear them? I can't understand. We're in this loop of this crazy loop of needing to be validated by this parental figure. And it's crazy. Like at this point now, Gerry, so we're going to have another game, I think Thursday. At this point now, the coaches have the right to tell kids to wear masks as much as they have the right to have them wear Mickey Mouse ears.
Right. I'm telling you,
or scuba equipment. It's officially through Baker, through the CDC, through the goddamn softball committee. It's officially no mask time. That is over. If somebody unbelievably brings it up, then that is like tampering with a child out of the blue.
Yes, I agree, and it's so un-American too. So un-American. We've talked a little bit about this. We're going to get to Prince Harry. That punk, that little spoiled punk welfare recipient from England who now lives in L.A. With his trophy wife who really wants to be famous. And gosh, they just wish people would leave them alone. As soon as they cash their next check from Netflix and Spotify, and when they're out to lunch with Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King, they hate when people just bother them. It's just the worst. Anyway, we'll get to that punk Prince Harry, who I used to respect. I hate him. Do people in your town, the parents, the coaches, the kids, know what happened? Why we went to war? Why we fought for our independence? The idea that Americans would just say, "Mr. Governor, Mr. President, Mr. Fauci, tell me what to do, and I'll do it without asking why, without questioning authority at all." It is amazing how things have turned. It used to be, liberals who questioned authority. Now, when you question authority, if you dare say, "Gee, I wonder if that election was on the level," or "I wonder if these people who trespassed on the Capitol on January 6th should still be in solitary confinement 4 months later, for when the cops let them in and they walked around and took pictures, should they really be in solitary without bail for 4 months?" It's just madness. But if you bring that up, you are conspiracy theorist. In fact, you will get kicked off social media. You might not be able to, communicate with your friends on Facebook because these big tech overlords are now controlling speech with the help of the government. So you really do have to hesitate before you speak freely now. And masks are just another. A few months ago, if you said something like we should be throwing these masks away, you would be in jeopardy of losing your Twitter account,
right,
or your Facebook account. You really would. The idea that you'd question masks, and there's plenty of data, plenty of literature out there questioning masks, but if you circulate it or believe it, you're in trouble. We've reached this point where we cannot question authority.
No, there's no more logic. The religion is compliance. We get to the field. How do we comply? Well, we can comply this way. How else do we comply? We can comply. Why are we complying? No. Well, because if we're making them comply, then we should comply. Then why are we making them? Right. Because they could be free. And you say, actually, that's a good question. You say, does anybody know about free speech, about the revolution and how this all started? No, as a matter of fact.
By the way, is this your town, Gerry? Is this how you normally talk? Is this how you normally talk? Are you emotionally distressed over this softball situation? You sound like you're like crying as you're explaining all this shit.
I am fucking not in a good mood. I can tell you that.
All right, we'll pass the room, by the way, at CallahanPodcast.com. You can watch us live. The comments are going at Shattuck pretty hard, by the way. Yes, you let your team down. That is the number one comment in the room. Type 1 if you think Shattuck is going to be a man on Thursday night, and if he is going to vouch for everybody's freedom on Thursday night, or type 2 if you think he's going to be quiet like he was last night and just continue this path.
Yeah, I think Shattuck hasn't completed the required homework before becoming a coach, because I shouldn't be admitting that, because once he finishes with his critical race theory indoctrination or course online, you're supposed to go through the Corey check, and you're supposed to prevent bullying, those kind of things. But now you have to admit this country was founded on racism, that white people are born racist, that black people are born victims. Those are the tenets of critical race theory. And you must learn those, Shattuck, and you must not question those. That is amazing. We've gone so far down the road. It is frightening. You are coaching 10-year-old girls. I mean, I did that not long ago, and I didn't have to go listen to a lecture from Ibrahim Kindi online.
Well-
you have to do that to coach kids. You have to admit your whiteness. You have to apologize for your whiteness now to coach a suburban 10-year-old softball team.
God bless Linda Quigley, first of all. Yeah, Gerry, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because you said, do people remember the revolution? Do they remember, what free speech? But you're right. 1776 is gone. 1619 is when everything started. So the people involved in the revolution were simply white supremacists like everybody else. Right. No, it doesn't. So that's all gone. Free speech? No. We're to comply now. There's something more noble happening now. We're having a reckoning. And to do that, we have to show physical demonstrations of our fealty to the new woke cause. And that's what it is. And then, so if a little girl has to gasp for air while running to first base, well, then that just shows us how more noble and robust our sacrifice is.
And then, but you could have that debate if it served a purpose, if there was any evidence that it helped do anything. If there was a 1% chance that the kid wouldn't, get a disease. I mean, or something. I mean, but there's no logic, no science, nothing behind it. It's just inflicting pain on children, and we see this every day. Did you see the video of that parent? I mean, a teacher in I think it was Wisconsin, berating the kid, the high school kid, because he wasn't wearing a mask. He said, "I've been vaccinated. I'm good," and he was very polite. And this
another fat
behemoth is berating him, and she's vaccinated too because she's a teacher. I think it's a public school, and she's I don't know, what would you guess, 350, and she's yelling at this kid and saying everybody hates you. You're no one likes you because he wouldn't wear a mask. She's accusing him of putting her life in danger. Now, yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about this, coronavirus. I believe 78% of the people hospitalized and a large portion of those dead today were obese, and many of them morbidly obese. It's the number one, comorbidity. This massive woman is yelling at a kid who looks, thin, fit, for putting her life in danger because he's not wearing a mask. And, you look at the video, you could smell the McDonald's fries on her breath on the video. That's how disgusting she is.
I don't care if you're vaccinated, you little dink.
Okay.
I don't want to get sick and die.
Okay.
There's other people you can infect just because you're vaccinated. You know what? You're not a special person around here. You should hear about how everybody talks about you. You're a jerk.
Talk to me. I don't care how people
You're
talk
a jerk.
Okay.
And you need to have respect for other people in your life.
I do.
You're not a big man on campus.
That's and it goes on and on. That's just, that's the kind of person we're dealing with. That's the kind of person, the parent you're dealing with. This person that's, I don't know, massive, obese, disgustingly, morbidly obese, berating a child who's vaccinated and unmasked, who's posing no threat to anyone. You are posing a threat every time you go to Sonic, for the triple cheeseburger. You're putting your own life in danger, not mine, your own. But apparently you don't care about that. You care about bullying children, telling children that nobody likes them. I mean, that's a sick woman.
She's already pissed off that she's got to show up at the school.
Oh, it's true.
She's
yeah.
already got
the weather's so nice. I mean, she's got to show up at the school when, she could be they're having like all you can eat pasta day at Papa Gino's down the street, and she's busy at the school yelling at children. It's disgusting. It's exposing people is what it's doing. It's exposing the parents at Shattuck.
Totally.
It's exposing the coaches who don't have the guts to rip the masks off and say, kids, we're doing this. I told you what I did on Saturday. I went to my son's graduation, and it was amazing. The kids obviously had to be masked up. All the 22-year-olds had to be masked up, or else they're in jeopardy of losing their diplomas. The parents all showed up, and I'm talking hundreds, 400 or 500 of us. We showed up with masks, and everyone was kind of walking and looking around, walking lightly. And at some point, it wasn't me. I'd like to take credit. Somebody took their mask off, and then someone else did. And I'm telling you, within 10 minutes, every parent, everyone had no mask. Every kid was masked. Every parent was not. It was like
So you
freedom.
got to be perfectly comfortable while you get screamed at by Cornell West or whoever that was.
Yeah, it was some Corner Wells. I would say wannabe. He's an old guy, but he was just up there babbling about whatever social justice, what you'd expect, typical college graduation. But it felt great, and it felt like a moment. I was saying yesterday where everyone just said enough of this and fought back. I mean, it felt exactly like, I don't know, the heroes at Breed's Hill fighting the British. You got one shot with your musket. That's what it felt like. We took our shot. We fought for freedom that day, and damn it, I felt like William Wallace on the.
Well, Gerry, let me tell you how they get you in this
thing.
Let me tell you how they get you. I'm talking to my wife on the phone last night saying, should I rip her out of here and go? Should we get the hell out of here? F this. I don't know if we should be playing whatever. And she said, well, she's been doing really well this year. And it's true. This year, she's like a really good hitter. She hits the ball out of the infield. She's a lefty. She's like coming around. She's aggressive. So it's like these other factors come in and you start questioning yourself saying, wait, maybe I should just calm the F down. She is getting better at this game and enjoying the game. And she's getting better at enjoying the game. So it's a freaking conundrum. Certainly, but
to be honest, I'd respect that if you did that, but you can't do it. You have to have your child's in mind, your best interest of your kid. She's playing well. She wants to play. She wants to be with other girls. I mean, you're right. It's a quandary, but you can't just say we're going home, and then you let the bad guys win. Screw that. You have to stand there, and you know what? On Thursday, I say, okay, girls, all 1, 2, 3, mask on, throw them away, take the field. And
on Thursday,
if the parent's not comfortable, you know what that parent can do? This again, we're worried about the concerns of the small, tiny minority. If you're not comfortable, you can leave. Let these kids stay. You can leave. If you're going to say, yeah, but then my daughter's going to come home and kill me, you're an idiot. You just don't understand the science. Right. You don't understand the virus. That's not going to happen. So why don't you go home? You can mask up, wear a gas mask, wear a hazmat suit. These kids are going to lose the masks and play and enjoy themselves. We have to stop letting these people call the shots. It's just wrong.
Thursday will truly define everybody because there's now no more government stricture on this at all, or CDC regulation or league regulation. There's no reason to be wearing a mask. There's just as much as reason to be wearing a clown nose out there as a mask starting on Thursday.
Well, but the bottom line is, and it's not important to you, but there never was. Right. We were lied to by the CDC. We were lied to by, our governor. We were lied to by a lot of public officials for a long time. Hopefully, I mean, you won't learn about that in school, but hopefully kids at some point at home or on their own will learn about the tyranny of the minority throughout this whole thing. And there's lots of, looking back on this, including looking back to what we did last week. A lot. We spent a lot of time on these 3 girls at UMass, 3 freshmen, 3 18-year-old kids who were good kids, working hard, good students. They were seen in a photograph off campus on their own time together, smiling like friends do, taking a picture. Now, I asked at the time, who takes a picture with a mask on? It's just stupid. You're not going to want to look back 5 years and say, oh, remember that day? Oh, yeah, is that, you sure that's me? Who's I with? I mean, it's like looking at a picture of looking at a picture of the governor of Virginia's yearbook and saying, which one is he, the Klan guy or the or the blackface guy? Because he's got, deniability there. He's covered up. Anyway, these girls were kicked out of school a week ago for taking a picture, doing the same thing that Marty Meehan did, the same thing Joe Biden's done, taking pictures maskless. Anyway, they have to change that, rescind that, don't they? Before it's too late, they have to rescind that. I realize it's UMass and common sense has no place there, but doesn't somebody have to stand up for these girls and say this is absolute madness, kicking them out of school when they took the masks off on their own time for a photograph, just like so many public officials did, like Marty Meehan, the president of the university, did. Those kids have to get their reputations back, don't they?
I would think that there's going to be a tsunami of lawsuits coming to do that to them, to blow them up like that.
Those cost them $16,000 each. Essentially,
$50,000. No, I mean, I could assume that the lawyer is going to have a field day, of course, with that. That's freaking ridiculous because there's a double standard. You can't have unequal treatment. Just pick out 3 girls. It's freaking crazy. I mean, how many instances will there be of academia making sure kids hit the street last year? In all of these different classes, we know that they do that.
We just played that fat teacher. There's people like that. I went to UMass. There's teachers and professors like that. Have no sympathy. They don't have care about these kids at all. They understand that they were kicked out of school and embarrassed for no reason, for zero reasons. They did it, for virtue signaling to sit to, and these people again a lot of them are they're sadists. That big fat teacher, she's a miserable woman. The kid she's berating is a good-looking kid. She's probably just jealous. She, her whole life she had no friends, no boyfriends. She's just a miserable hag who is trying to destroy this kid because he's not wearing a mask. I think I just had the story.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? You've got this just wretched person yelling at a perfectly fine young man, and then in all the grocery stores, you generally have scrawny, squirrely, wormy men yelling at women. As soon as they get the chance to yell at a woman and show some masochism, they're happy to. Up in their faces. It's like it's a weird, creepy thing.
I was in the grocery store yesterday, and I see these 2 people come in behind me without masks. And when you see that, it's like they might as well walk in the store naked. It's just shocking.
Right.
Like, oh my God!
You gotta get
look. I mean, it's like I mean, I don't want to say it's like a active shooter situation, but it feels like it. These people are they're doing something so outrageous and antisocial. So I look around. I'm saying, what's going to happen to them? I'm just curious. And by the way, the guy was old. He was like in his 70s. It was probably the father of the woman. She was in her 50s, and they were just blissfully walking, grabbing groceries with no masks. And I'm looking. I'm saying it was a Whole Foods. I admit it's a Whole Foods. It's convenient for me. And Whole Foods, they don't tolerate that. So I'm looking, and I see a security guard who has by the way, it's like a gas mask on.
Right.
And he comes and he sees them and he's coming towards them. And I go, uh-oh, here we go. I'm hoping it's one of these viral moments. And I can say, yeah, they've got a fight. And she yelled.
Got to get the camera out for that.
So you know what happens? Yeah, it's a good point. Someone would have. There's a bunch of people watching. And he walks up to them and says, excuse me, I see you forgot your masks. Breaks out a big box of masks and says, would you mind putting one of these on? And he handled it so well, and I was so disappointed. And they both said, oh, sorry, sure. Took the new masks, put them on, and went about their shopping. I'm like, damn, I was hoping to.
I would have decked him, Jerry. I would have said, F you, buddy.
F you,
damn right.
You can't tell me what to do. But last I checked, this was America.
I would have thrown ripe avocados at him.
I'm sure he was in the chat earlier. I don't think he's here anymore. But Turtle Boy tweets every time he does that. Everybody is looking at him, wants him to have a mask on. They're just either A, scared to say anything, or B, they know it's friggin' Turtle Boy of all people, and they don't want to start shit with Turtle Boy.
It is
going to his grocery store down the street, for Christ's sake. So
it is hard to believe he hasn't been. No one's berated him. I'm hoping he's hoping. Because this isn't going to last much longer. I think that we're all going to have those moments. I had mine Saturday at the graduation. Shattuck's going to have his Thursday at the game, where you just strip it off. You like those women in Tehran who rip off the hijab and say, we're free. And of course, then they get executed, but we don't have that problem quite yet here. But it is feeling like, I'm taking this off, this symbol of tyranny that you have over my face for no good reason. But all right, we got to get to a couple other things, a couple other, examples of tyranny. I don't want to spend a lot of time on Andrew Cuomo. I feel like I've wasted so much time on him. I think we all agree. We all know that he's just the worst. He's the lowest form of life. He's a bully and a tyrant and a scumbag and a sexual predator. Here's the next scandal. It's coming. Hopefully there's someone in the media besides Janice Dean who will be working on this. I think at this point there is. I think even though many New York politicians are in the tank and protecting him and circling the wagons, I think New York Post and some of the other New York reporters have some dignity, and they have to say we have to continue to expose this piece of garbage. It was reported he made $5 million for his book, which is amazing because it was a book about leadership during the pandemic when he was the single worst leader. He contributed to more death than anybody except the person in Wuhan that let the friggin' virus out of the lab. Nobody killed more people than Cuomo, and he writes a book. We found out later that his aides actually wrote the book, and now we found out he get $5 million for it. Now immediately alarm bells should be going off because someone did the math today. He sold fewer than 50,000, but we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say 50,000, which is just mind-boggling that 50,000 people would buy the book. Like who? I don't know. But anyway, that means the author.
I don't believe that whatsoever. I think they are counting all the copies that like the local stores buy, right?
Okay, if he got 5 million, just assume 50,000 got bought. No one read it, but bought. That's $100 a book for the author. Forget the publisher and the promoter and the editors. $100. I mean, the book sold for whatever, $25. It's not. This is the scandal. Some big donor, somebody who is still with Cuomo, some friend of the governor, laundered money through this publisher, or there's a scheme at work. I don't know the details.
All the publishers are in Manhattan anyway.
Remember, there was one with Jim Wright, and they found a warehouse full of books that the donators, that supporters bought and didn't read. They just bought it because they know he'd get the money. That's how it works with the Clintons when they write books, or the Obamas. Nobody reads them, but people buy them in bulk. Big money donors, supporters buy them, and they know it's just a way of laundering payoffs. And that's what happened here. I'm just predicting. I haven't seen anyone else say that this is going to happen any minute now, but it's going to happen any minute now. We're going to see yet another scandal from the biggest scumbag in America, Andrew Cuomo. We'll get to the biggest scumbag in England.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's on Cuomo. He said last week that when it comes to harassment, it's not how you feel about the behavior. How you feel about it is not the point. That's not harassment. It's if you were technically harassed. So in other words, he's asking the 23-year-old about her sex life and about her sexual assault, and suggesting that he would have sex with a 23-year-old, and that makes her feel bad. That's still not harassment. Where is anybody? Is it only Cynthia Nixon who gives a flying bleep about this stuff? Where is anybody?
That's a liberal saying it doesn't matter how you feel. When we just had generations of liberals saying that's all that matters is how you feel. Nothing else matters but how you feel. It's true that, I mean, to me, and I just saw Janice Dean on again screaming about how he's getting away with it, and I love her. She's never going to let him rest. But I do think eventually it would be one of those deals like, Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein. Not that he's in their class, but he's got more things going on. Eventually people are just going to say he's a really terrible human being. And, it took us a while, but we finally figured that out. And he will be, excommunicated from, polite society. Eventually, it'll take a while because it's New York and he is, he's dug in his heels, but eventually we're all going to agree he's a horrible person. And, hopefully there'll be criminal charges because there's no way that 5 million was on the level. A couple other things. I'm never going to let up on Ayanna Pressley. I'm never going to just say, she's a crazy liberal. That's the way it is. It's Massachusetts. We got Liz Warren and Ed Markey, and we had, Barney Frank and the Kennedys. This woman, there's none of them. None of them are in her class. She is still using, and we thought we were going to move on from the Michaela Miller story. She's still tweeting, implying that Michaela Miller was murdered. She's still using the death of this child. And she's using the grief of her family and friends for political purposes. It's despicable. I mean, this is yesterday. There was an investigation. She committed suicide. Everybody knows it. As Turtle Boy has proven, there's all kinds of communication which hasn't really gone public. And the cops in the school and the town don't have the guts to exonerate the children who were with Michaela Miller, who are her friends, including her girlfriend, who've been brought into this and smeared by people like Ayanna Pressley. But she just throws that out there, and compares Hamas the other day, two American BLM protesters in the United States, and makes these outrageous claims.
Yeah.
Says the cops murdered 70 people in the course of a week or
Yes.
two. I mean, and nobody calls her on it. Says the Capitol Hill police destroyed the panic button in her office to make her
She was one of the first who started calling it a white supremacist attack.
white supremacy.
Yeah.
And there's zero accountability.
No.
I understand. I mean, the Globe has some crazy liberal in their editorial board who was like retweeting her and praising her for saying all these crazy stuff. That's her constituency. I understand. But at some point, don't the good liberals of Boston have to say, enough? This woman is out of control. She's using the death of a child at this point to rile up a mob, which is what she intends to do every single day. When she shows up at work, it's, how do I rile up a mob today? If it means lying, if it means distorting the truth, she has no problem with that. And obviously the Globe's not going to call her out, but where's the rest of the media? Don't they ever feel like they should ask her a tough question, or is that off limits? Because she's
you're right.
With the squad.
You're right, and it's funny because it's tough to keep track of the race hustlers now on which is which. It used to be you'd have Al Sharpton, and then Jesse Jackson would take care of Chicago in the middle of the country and in some of the Beltway, But now I don't know which one called. Presley called it apartheid in Israel. I think it's Omar called the Jews creepy or cheap, and one of them said about the Benjamins. There's so much anti-Semitism. There's so much race baiting. All of them say that Trayvon Martin was killed by the cops. There's so many bad freaking sister actors. And you talk about the Globe guy. When you started talking about him, I'm rifling through my head. Okay, is this the guy who said we need Hitler back, or is this the person who said that we failed the Tsarnaevs? There's so many crazy, incompetent psychos in politics and media now that you freaking really need to like a Rolodex, the modern version of one, to keep track of them. And she is,
like Glenn Greenwald on Substack or Matt Taibbi, these former liberals, they're like the only people left who are like calling out the corrupt media, calling out the fanatics, extremists like Ayanna Pressley and AOC or Ilhan Omar, who are rooting for terrorists. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They are rooting for terrorists against our ally. That's. I mean, they want
Israeli funding cut off immediately. Yes, they want the Iron Dome. They
want the no Iron Dome. They want the no Iron Dome, and there's only one reason for that: because you want those rockets to land where they were intended, on the homes of Israeli civilians, children, and schools and buses. That's where you want the rockets to land. You don't want the Israelis to knock them out of the sky using, American technology. They hate that. They want this. They want to even the playing field.
And the head of the AP is all pissy, of course, and got on CNN and said, usually at the Associated Press, our journalists are out there and we try to stay out of the crossfire. Well, this time, unfortunately, we failed. Like, you didn't fail. They freaking gave you an hour to get out of the building safely, you moron. Right. The AP is such a toxic organization. They have been hiding Palestinian and Hamas crimes for years in Israel. They are toxic. I am so proud of the IDF for bombing that building.
I think it's it's opening some people's eyes, and they're realizing that the AP is no different than the Daily Beast or the New York Times. These are just radical fringe outfits. These are people on the far left, and they are sympathetic towards Hamas, and they probably saw no problem with sharing an office with Hamas. As Tom Cotton said last night, I believe, he said, would they have shared an office with Al Qaeda? What's the difference?
Well, Al Jazeera's in that building too.
Right, Al Jazeera, but no one's surprised at that. But would the Associated Press share an office, with ISIS in Syria? What's the difference? I mean,
no.
Sharing an office with a terrorist outfit organization that is determined to kill civilians, to kill children, to blow up buses.
Right.
And you obviously you're not going to be critical of them. They're down the hall. You would never take that chance. You're on their team.
Yes, you want to be close to your client if you're in PR. You want to be able to have lunch with them and shoot the breeze and see what they're thinking and see what goals are and action items.
I guess people are waking up. Hopefully they're learning and waking up. And I guess we're learning and waking up to my friend Prince Harry. We want to get to him. Prince Harry if you hadn't heard, he's just tired of all this attention and all this coverage, and tired of the media in this country. So he went on with Dax Shepard on a podcast, and I assume they cross promoted, because doesn't Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have a podcast, and don't they have a production deal with Netflix and Spotify?
Perfectly timed. Dax just got his. They have their
All these-
perfect synergy.
All these other, that's right, Dax has got his big deal, but they're just the biggest bunch of grifters and con artists. You think about it, their big complaint is they just want to be left alone. Huh? They just want people to leave them alone, except Spotify and Netflix and Oprah and Dax Shepard and Gayle King. They don't mind attention from them. And when you really want to be left alone to just raise your family, live in peace, where I moved? I moved to Southern California, and into a nice, quaint, remote $16 million mansion. That's where you go when you really want to be left alone, and you have neighbors like Oprah. Anyway, this idiot, and I know he used to be an Apache pilot. He was a war hero. That's over and done with. She took, as we know, removed his balls and put them in her purse. Now he is just the most henpecked puss in the world. And I feel like when he's speaking, you can almost hear her, hear the words coming from her. But he goes on with Dax Shepard and complains about the First Amendment. He thinks it's crazy. The First Amendment, it's kind of important to us. And I hate to break it to Harry, but you know what Americans think? Americans like the First Amendment. I mean, not so much the current administration or the big tech tyrants, but for the most part, people appreciate the fact that we have freedom of speech and freedom of assembly and religion, and they're really glad we have it. And we see other places where they don't. And we think our system is better and our system works. But you know what Americans think is really silly? Royal families.
Mm-hmm.
Princes and queens and kings and duchesses. That's what Americans think is really bonkers.
Well, didn't he kind of satisfy that by sabotaging the entire family and breaking the hell free? Didn't he kind of give?
Well, I'll respect him for breaking free when he, has a real job, pays a mortgage, buys a house. I mean, he still gets. What's he get? Like $1 million a month or some ridiculous amount, and obviously,
talk about. He doesn't even get security, Jerry.
That's right. Yeah.
All he has is the little
Didn't
bit
even
his
get
mom
a title
left him,
for his
Jerry.
kid. It's just so wrong. I mean, he didn't even make his
He
title.
had to go to a meeting. He had to go to a meeting for that Netflix deal, Jerry. A meeting, all things. Yeah.
Imagine they kiss his ass too, and they just, Prince, and they probably bow and curtsy before him. Can we get you a spot of tea, Prince? Oh, these people are repulsive.
Is he, by the way, an American citizen? Does he get citizenship if he's married to an American now? Right?
Is that all? I guess he would. Unless she did she denounce her citizenship?
Well, if he hates the First Amendment, you got to take a test. I think when you go down to like Faneuil Hall or wherever that is when they swear you in. I don't think he's going to like that.
That's a good question. I bet they'll hook him up. They won't make him go down because he's just so famous. You're famous for being born into this silly, royal family. You've accomplished nothing. Again, I take nothing away from his military service, but since then, what has he accomplished? He hooked up with this gold digger whose whole goal in life was to be famous. She's like, what is it? The husband, the father, and Rosemary's Baby. She'd be willing to sell her soul to the devil to be famous. She marries this ugly redhead just so she can be more famous. That's all. That's all she wants to be.
Well, he needed guidance. He needed guidance. Maybe she's that because remember his Halloween costume.
That's right. He was a Nazi with an actual Nazi armband.
I don't know where you even get one of those.
I don't know. Yeah. You get those on Amazon. But let's listen to the Prince complain about our Bill of Rights.
Well, that is, again, I don't want to start sort of going down the First Amendment route because that's a huge subject and one of which I don't understand because I've only been here for a short period of time. But you can find a loophole in anything and you can capitalize or exploit what's not said rather than uphold what is said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
We can do that with anything we want. Of course we can.
Yes,
and if there's a commercial incentive, then great. Or if there's a ideology or you want to spread hate, laws were created to protect people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, increasingly companies as well. Citizens United.
Yeah, they go down a boring path here, but then this is where
I know. Is this how Dax Shepard does it?
Oh, Dax Shepard is my guy, but hold on. Here's his bonkers line.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I got so much I want to say about the First Amendment.
I
I still don't understand it, but it is bonkers.
It is bonkers. So
That's where Dax and you got to
That's amazing. So he says the First Amendment is bonkers, and Dax Shepard, this whatever he is,
great podcaster. I'm a big Dax guy.
that big Dax guy.
Yeah.
He says, I agree, it is bonkers. The First Amendment is bonkers, Dax Shepard. Again, will anyone ask him, explain yourself? Anyone ask him, what do you mean? You're making tens of millions of dollars doing a podcast. And does he have a TV show? I don't even know what that. I know he's a rehab guy and he's supposedly, a good interviewer. But
great interviewer. Yep. He's on TV shows. I forget the last one he was on. Wasn't he on that Parenthood show that like everybody? That was a big hit.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but whatever. A guy who benefits, I would say, from the First Amendment and should appreciate it, says it's bonkers. What other parts of the Constitution are bonkers, Dax? I understand this idiot from England doesn't like our way of life, but what about you? It's just amazing. A guy says that, and the host says, "Let's move on. Let's move on."
Right. Harry's questioning the First Amendment because people are using it to enrich themselves, stretching the truth. This is a guy who contrived a race story about people talking about his baby and sold it to Oprah for an interview. It's like, yeah, I guess you would know something about exploitation and using the First Amendment to enrich yourself.
Selling his own family, his own father and grandfather, and
right.
Oh yeah, they're a bunch of racists. They were afraid of what complexion our child. It was a lie, by the way. She just made that up.
Of course, it
was. Knows she's smart enough to know in this country, when you're stuck, just throw out the racism charge. That gets you out of jail, gets you out of anything. And most people are watching, going, I didn't even know she was black. I mean, she's beautiful, and I guess she's got kind of dark features, but like people were really discriminating against her and her child because of race. It was absurd. She made it up, and everyone knows it. No one likes these people. No one, except for Oprah. No one really likes these people, but hopefully, continue to open it. I don't know what
I do like the idea of, attractive American women torpedoing the royal family, once every century.
When they're on their deathbed, call them racists and, whatever. We spent too much time on these worthless people. They really are. Although,
what's Colleen's charm offensive here on the podcast world? Dax Shepard,
he's a great interviewer.
Don't ever listen to him.
That nonsense talk. I listen to him all the time. I listen to every episode of Dax Shepard. Actually,
is he a Barstool colleague, Dave, or is he?
No, stop it.
Wait till Dax called, then he's gonna throw Barstool under the bus in a
He is in all honesty, he's I'm not gonna say he's as good as Howard Stern, at least was in his prime. He is damn near close. He's a conversational interview. He's better than Rogan in interviews. Absolutely.
So you sit there, you have a guest, a prominent guest, say the First Amendment is bonkers, and you move on to the next topic.
Yeah, that was not great.
That's not a good interview. That's a terrible interview.
Not great out of my guy.
Yeah, and also, Gerry, how dial switching is it when you hear somebody talk about Citizens United? To me, I'm out. The moment I hear that, all right, here we go.
Do you really think that Prince Harry or Meghan Markle the one giggling there with him? Is that who? I mean, who's the one?
Oh, that's Dax's.
Oh, that's Dax's sidekick.
Yes,
I need him to get me one of those hot little cute sidekicks, like Adam Carolla. By the way, Adam Carolla, who just announced he's getting divorced after 25 years. Maybe that having a cute sidekick is not always a wise move, wise career.
Well, he had a falling out with one of them, right?
Is he complaining about the divorce? I don't know. If he's not complaining, it might be a wise move. So,
yeah, it is. I mean, he's like I always say, divorces are a problem, except for the super rich or the super poor. Like if you got no money, who cares? And if you're Bill Gates and you have to give, $50 billion to your ex, who cares? It's the people in between. And I think Carolla's rich enough so that he's not going to feel the pinch when he gets divorced, even if she comes after him hard. He's comfortable enough, so it won't really matter. And I'm going to guess that he's going to have some fun. He's like my age. He's like my age, but he's going to get out there and have some fun and in his private jets and his race cars with some young hotties. But
he'll know how to do it too, Gerry, because he's out there on the coast. He knows the Hollywood lifestyle. He's a street smart guy. Like Bill Gates was dating middle-aged engineers around him in Microsoft.
He is the most pathetic. Can we stop listening to him now that we know that, what a creep he is hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Epstein was convicted of having sex with a 14-year-old girl in 2014 or 15. Bill Gates was hanging out with him in 2017. He was hanging out with the guy after he knew he was convicted of raping a 14-year-old girl, and he was getting relationship advice from him. That is a creep. I mean, Epstein's a criminal and he's dead, and that's good. But Bill Gates is a creep hanging out with the guy he knew was raping children. And we sit there and say, can you explain to us again how you're going to stop world hunger and stop the sun from put up little particles and stop the sun from burning the earth? And help us, please, solve the crisis. He's a computer guy. He knows nothing about climate crisis or about pandemics.
Right.
We listen to him anyway. Why? Why do we listen to this loser? That's what he is, by the way. He's worth 130 billion. He's a college dropout, failed, husband. Bad parent, hanging out with Jeffrey freaking Epstein. I mean, what more do you need to know about that?
You're right. These guys are unsocialized. These nerds, nerd culture is unsocialized. He knows Skittles and Diet Coke and coding. But you give them $1 billion, though, then they play God, like the little kid in like the Twilight Zone movie, who orders all the adults around. They're all afraid of him. And so he plays God. And so, there's a guy who has an island full of young girls. So it sounds like fun. I can do anything. I can shoot coal dust at the sun and blot it out. No one can stop me.
We're going to go to island.
How come Shattuck how come he can talk so much shit on a podcast, but he can't do it at the softball field? He can sound so edgy on a podcast with a mic.
He's going to, Colin.
I am going to, damn you.
Thursday's the big night. Tom Shattuck is going to lay down the law, and here's what you should do. You are famous for what? For one thing. What is Tom Shattuck famous for, Shattuck?
Eating.
Well, I was crushing abs today, my friend. I have a gym membership now, Portnine.
Is that really you in that video doing the whatever there, leg lifts?
Yeah.
You went to the gym before you joined us?
Yeah. I'm in shape now, Jerry. I got a gym membership.
What time did you get up?
Proud of you.
4:18.
Jesus. And is that a Planet Fitness?
Jerry is absolutely.
I can tell by the color. Planet, and it's $10 a month. Can I tell you the dirty little secret? I knew a manager at Planet Fitness. Their key to their success is people who don't show up to the gym, who join and don't go, because they have tens of thousands of members who pay $10 a month, and it's so little that they don't cancel. They just let it ride, but they don't show up. Don't be one of those people, Shattuck. Okay?
I'm crushing abs today, Jerry. I say crushing abs now. That shows I'm a real gym guy.
Crushing abs. You know what? Shattuck is famous for one thing, Callahan, the burn barrel. So I think you can transport that, throw that in the back of your truck. I know you live on a farm, so you have a truck. Throw the burn barrel in, bring it to the field, say, okay, girls, we're going to have a little mask burning party. And you get it going, and one by one, they throw it in. It'll be like, and I want someone, your wife or someone to videotape it. That could go viral. You could be famous by Friday.
I like that. I like that.
And if that one parent, well, you know what? You throw him in. He won't fit, from what I understand. But you say, you don't like it, sir? Go home. Go in your basement. Lock yourself away. Wear 5 masks. Wear whatever you want, gloves and protection, and leave us alone. We got games to play. We have children here who want to get out and run and play in the sun, and we're gonna coach them up, and you can get lost. That's what you're gonna do Thursday, okay? Shattuck.
I am standing up Thursday. I throw down the gauntlet. Absolutely. I did yesterday also not wear a mask. The only adult affiliated with the team who didn't, Dave. So yes, I'm going to fucking clock somebody Thursday regardless, just to show Callahan.
Yes.
And all of you doubters.
I do kind of feel bad if you make it the ump's problem, and the ump is what? Probably like a 15-year-old. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but it is the ump's problem. You could deal with it easily.
Maybe I'll do that.
I said this yesterday, Shattuck. We've reached this point, and it's very sad in society where, like I said, at a graduation, the kids, even kind of rebellious kids like my son, had to leave the masks on because they were afraid if they took them off, they wouldn't graduate. Like they would literally take their diploma away. I mean, you'd be surprised if UMass did that. If UMass took a kid's diploma because at graduation he didn't wear a mask, you wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I know that place. That's what they would do. And kids in games, pitchers who are pitching in high school don't want to take the mask off because they'll get kicked out of the game. There's absolutely, once again, we'll say it again, zero reason, scientifically, none, medically, no reason at all to make a kid block his breathing, but they do it. And if the kid says, I'm not going to do it, they take the harshest possible measures, like kick them out of school, kick them off the team. Those girls, your girls, take the masks off and they might get kicked out of the league or suspended. That's how bad the parents, the people in control, that's how bad they are as people. They will punish like that fat teacher we played earlier. She wants to destroy the life of a 17-year-old kid because he's following the science and not wearing a mask after getting vaccinated. And this big lady wants to ruin his life.
Yeah, she uses psyops against him, saying everybody thinks you're a jerk, you know.
Everyone hates you.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what a badge of honor it is to have that thing yelling at you like that?
It is amazing. It's sad, and it's time we're fighting back. And we fought back at the graduation. You're fighting back at the softball field. Callahan is never fighting back. He will cower in his basement until until AOC says he can come out. By the way, when you're AOC or Lori Lightfoot or Mika Brzezinski, and you say, "I don't care about my vaccine. I'm going to wear a mask." When does it end? Like what's the end date? Like vaccines don't matter, science doesn't matter, spring, sun, none of this matters. When will you stop wearing a mask?
No, Gerry. I mean, wouldn't you, if you're them, don't you tie this to global warming now and climate change?
Yes, I said that yesterday. We will have a similar lockdown, crisis, panic where they have to shut down businesses and tell everyone to stay home because of global warming or climate change. Obviously, it's all nonsense, but they will say that because they think this worked beautifully. This thing,
right.
They think people complied, people submitted, they did what they were told. There was no uprising. People wore masks for no reason at all. People social distance for no reason at all. They closed schools for a year to completely screw up, children, but it didn't matter. They did what they were told. They have the right people in their back pocket, the teachers union, the media, academia, they all played along. They're looking at this. Bill Gates would be a great example and saying, we could do this exact same thing in, 2 years and do it in the name of stopping climate change.
Yeah, but I don't think they stop. You don't stop. I mean, I think that's the key is to just extend this, because you can extend it and say, hey, not, talking about my lungs and talking about health, I'm having to wear this now because you have a Ford F-150 and you don't give a shit about me, but I care about you. So I have the better car and I'm wearing the mask, so.
You saw what Jennifer Granholm, the energy secretary, said after they shut down the pipeline and people were screwed. They couldn't get gas and they were filling up baggies and shopping bags with gas. She said, well, if you had an electric car, you wouldn't have a problem. And she kind of giggled.
Yeah, she was just saying.
She's just saying, if you had an electric car, if you had a Tesla like me, you wouldn't have a problem. And people are going, my God, these people are absolute monsters. They are elitist. They're arrogant. They don't care. There's, as you point out, a guy with the F-150 trying to get to work at construction, and she says, well, if you had a Tesla, it wouldn't be a problem. You going,
no,
that's she said the quiet part out loud.
Right, because remember, this is the Obama administration. And they used to laugh all the time. Obama used to say all the time that it was necessary for gas prices to go through the roof so that people would understand that they shouldn't be driving, fuel-driven cars. And then he would berate people and castigate them when he spoke, saying, who here has a huge SUV and why do you need it?
Right.
And I remember one guy said, well, I have a big family. He said, a big family, how many? And the guy said, 6 kids. And he said, 6 kids? I mean, who has 6 kids anymore?
Right. You're destroying the earth. You have kids here. You're not supposed to do that. Right. I mean, and then you got, someone who can really speak with authority like John Kerry saying you shouldn't take unnecessary flights and, buy big boats or have SUVs. I mean, we're trying to save the earth here, people. Going, it is amazing that people listen to that. Still, that discourages me too. That people listen to that. They listen to Greta Thunberg, this high school dropout from Sweden. Is it Sweden or Norway? I can never remember where she's from.
I think Norway.
Whatever.
Well, but at the same time, Gerry, let's get back to John Kerry. This is the guy who's going to be in charge of changing over the transportation system changing over the energy industry to all electric and all wind and solar and renewables. this guy's going to do this. They're going to transform the United States, the entire industry, which could be catastrophic to begin with, and we're going to do it, he admits, with slave labor.
Right, that's true. He admitted, said, "Yep, the people making the solar panels are slaves."
Yeah, he said, "Yes,
Muslim
admittedly, it's a
people
problem,
slaves.
Congressman McCall. It's
But,
a problem."
As Joe Biden said, they have different norms in China. They believe in slavery. It's like they believe in, whatever, chopsticks. We believe in,
forks
forks and knives. They believe in slavery. We believe in freedom. We can't agree on everything, Shattuck.
No, yes, and their one child policy makes sense according to Joe Biden for them, for what they're doing. But it's funny because Kerry goes, "Yes, it is a problem, Congressman, that yes, they use forced labor to make the parts of the fuel to make the wind turbines and the solar panels, and also rare earth minerals, and as if rare earth minerals is the key to the sentence and not slaves."
I know. Listen to this 77-year-old hypocrite who's never accomplished anything in his life except marrying rich widows. That's all he's ever done. And we have to listen to him tell us about our lives and how we have to change the way we live. It's just disgusting. But anyway, we've complained enough today. I will say right now, I'll speak on behalf of Dave Callahan and say I look forward to the big game for the Falcons on Thursday. Hopefully, it says, Shattuck let his team down.
Go
back on YouTube and screenshot that.
Well,
because,
he's got many more chances, including Thursday night, where he can lead the revolution. You are William Wallace on Thursday, and you are going to lead these people to freedom, these children, to freedom.
Some of the shatheads, Dave, have sounded off on Facebook, including a guy named Dave saying, "You're on fire today in GC, dude. Stay healthy. We need people like you, and I will be crushing abs in less than an hour."
Look at that. You're going to
work out twice in the same day. You are an animal. You are.
Gosh.
This doesn't just happen, Jerry.
Complete. That's what happens. That's what happens when GCP fat shames you every Tuesday morning. You finally get your act together.
I don't know. You know what? I think his wife did this. I think his wife said, "It's time." You know what?
Yeah.
While we know, masks don't matter. Social distancing matters. Obesity does matter. Obesity kills. It's the number one killer in this country. We want to see you get thin and fit and healthy and keep crushing those abs, Shattuck.
You probably said, if you're going to be such a sissy at the softball field and embarrass me and the family, why don't you at least look good while you do it for once and lose some weight? Is probably
could be some truth to that.
Yeah, and I think somebody, one of these other parents or coaches, has to be ready with the camera because we want to see Shattuck, Braveheart Shattuck, lead these girls to freedom, and I'm looking forward to it, Shattuck. All right, good luck with it.
Thank you. I look forward to Thursday. We'll see what happens.
I think we put the pressure on you. You got to do it now, man. You got to. You can't let these children down. You know what? You should say, if any one of them gets the virus and dies, it's on me. I mean, it's silly. This person thinks these children are going to get like coronavirus and die. They're just stupid. Like that teacher. They're not following the news, following the science.
You know what, Jerry? If that other parent is uncomfortable, without having the mask, maybe I'm uncomfortable wearing a shirt during the game.
Now that would change everyone's mind. Take the shirt off until they all agree to take the masks off, and then you'll put it back on. I think that you're smart, man. That will get the job done.
Go to the nuclear option.
All right. Good luck, Shattuck. We appreciate it. Let's wrap this sucker up. That is Tom Shattuck, host of the Burn Barrel podcast and prolific Substacker. You had a really good one the other day. You've had a lot of good Substack stuff. You can read him at Tom Shattuck /Substack or something, right?
Yep, tomshattuck.substack.com or burnbarrelpodcast.com.
And you can read him. You had a good one just ripping the crap out of somebody that I was going to...
Maybe de Blasio could have been...
Oh, yes, de Blasio eating the fries. By the way, is there anything... a lot of silliness around the coronavirus and the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything else. Is there anything more ridiculous than de Blasio, and forget the fact that he's a disgusting human being, but offering an order of fries if you get vaccinated? An order of fries? I mean, I don't care if you're dead poor and you love fries. They cost $3, right? $4. They're offering you a $3 order of fries from Shake Shack, or maybe it's $5 to get vaccinated. So you're telling me there's somebody out there who's on the fence and thinking about getting vaccinated? Maybe, maybe not. Oh my God, they're going to give me French fries? I'm in. Let's go. Get the car. Let's go. I mean, some places are offering like $100. Now, here's this disgusting pig de Blasio
right.
eating the fries, and he's like drooling, slobbering, and
Right.
and I mean, even if you wanted fries, he makes them seem so unappetizing that you say,
Yeah.
"Oh, screw it, I'm not going to get vaccinated."
No, definitely. He hurt the vaccination strategy single-handedly by jamming all the food in his mouth, saying just associate vaccination with this vaccination, and looking over at his health guy like he's Paul Schaefer and early Letterman, like jokes. Paul, he's just disgusting person. And
He is, but
French
I
fries,
understand other places you can get like $100, or you can get a
Yeah.
gift certificate for lunch or dinner. I mean, that's not much either. In Ohio, you get to beat a lottery and maybe win $1 million. I mean, to me, that's the same as buying a lottery ticket for $5. So really, they're only offering you $5.
right?
They got to come up with more. If they're going to give me in there for the shot in the arm, I need more. I don't know what, but I need more than an order of fries.
You know what? What if they let you meet Dr. Fauci?
Dr. Fauci has done more for the anti-vaxxing movement, done more to dissuade people from vaccinations than anybody in America, more than Robert Kennedy Jr. or Jenny McCarthy or any Alex Jones type. This guy who was yesterday, by the way, walking around outdoors with a mask, refusing to follow the science. He's the one that has convinced everyone that if you get vaccinated, nothing changes. Nothing. By the way,
Yep.
I don't want to get into it, but did you see his graduation speech at Emory University?
Yes.
A couple days after Tucker Carlson pointed out that he is more responsible for the virus than anybody, on the planet. He funded the lab where they made this virus and released the virus. Fauci made sure they got funded with U.S. tax dollars to create the virus. To distract from that, he went on this whole thing about how we have racism.
Right.
Everything's racist. The
Public
whole
health
healthcare
crisis.
the epidemic, the pandemic is racist. He's such a hack.
He is. Imagine that he would absolutely he's absolutely like totally pleased and willing to revamp himself. He's now rebranding himself as a social justice healthcare guy.
Right.
Freshening. It's like Callahan's LinkedIn. It's totally been redone in the last week. Totally rebranding himself.
He is such a fraud. And hopefully at the end of this, it'll be like Cuomo. Everyone will know it. Everyone will understand that this con man has been exposed. But we'll see. Hopefully. We'll get into it again, tomorrow and the next day, because it's kind of important. But good luck Thursday, Shattuck, with these girls. Lead them to freedom. And we'll be following. We'll be keeping track. Maybe, you can tweet about it. Tweet out a little video.
I will do that. I will. I promise I will.
Good. Excellent. We appreciate it. Thanks to Shattuck, and thanks to DCU and Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. Thanks to everybody for listening and for watching on YouTube. If you want to give us a what do we do for YouTube? We just need a like. We need to hit the like button.
Subscribe. Go to CallahanPodcast.com. If you are on a desktop computer, it'll automatically subscribe you. Bingo, bango, bongo, bye. But if you're on mobile, subscribe.
Also, smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, I'm supposed to say smash the subscribe button.
Yes.
And you can go to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review and a rating and a thumbs up and a like and everything else. We appreciate that. Thanks. And thanks, Callahan. And don't tell me I missed anything, because we don't have time.
Yeah, we missed Rogan, but it's all right.
Well, you know what? We'll do Rogan tomorrow. I'll listen to it. It takes like 8 hours to listen to a Joe Rogan show. I will commit myself to listening to some Rogan, and we'll talk about him tomorrow. But thanks to everybody. This is the Gerry Callahan Podcast. I'm Gerry Callahan, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.